Leviticus Chapter 7. Priest part in the offerings. This is the law of the guilt offering. It is most holy. In the place where they kill the burnt offering, they are to kill the guilt offering, and he shall sprinkle its blood around on the altar. Then he shall offer all its fat, the fat tail, and the fat that covers the entrails, and the 2 kidneys with the fat that is on them at the loins, and the lobe of the liver, which he shall remove with the kidneys. The priest shall offer them up in smoke on the altar as an offering by fire to the Lord. It is a guilt offering. Every male among the priests may eat it. It shall be eaten in a holy place. It is most holy. The guilt offering is like the sin offering. There is one law for both of them. The priest who makes atonement with it shall have it for himself. The priest who presents any man's burnt offering shall have for himself the hide of the burnt offering which he has presented. Likewise, every grain offering that is baked in the oven and everything that is prepared in a pan or on a griddle shall belong to the priest who presents it. Every grain offering mixed with olive oil or dry, all the sons of Aaron may have one as well as another. Now, this is the law of the sacrifice of peace offerings, which shall be presented to the Lord. If one offers it as a sacrificial meal of thanksgiving, then along with the sacrifice of thanksgiving he shall offer unleavened cakes mixed with oil and unleavened wafers spread with oil, and cakes of fine flour mixed with oil with the sacrifice of his peace offering for thanksgiving. He shall present his offering with cakes of leavened bread. Of this he shall present 1 cake from each offering as a contribution to the Lord. It shall belong to the priest who sprinkles the blood of the peace offerings. The meat of the sacrifice of thanksgiving presented as a peace offering shall be eaten on the day that it is offered. None of it shall be left until morning, but if the sacrifice of his offering is a vow or a free will offering, it shall be eaten on the day that he offers his sacrifice, and on the next day that which remains of it may be eaten, but what is left over from the meat of the sacrifice on the 3rd day shall be completely burned in the fire. If any of the meat of the sacrifice of his peace offerings is ever eaten on the 3rd day, then it will not be accepted, and the one who brought it will not be credited with it. It shall be an abhorred, offensive thing. The one who eats it shall bear his own guilt. The meat that comes in contact with anything that is unclean shall not be eaten. It shall be burned in the fire. As for other meat, everyone who is clean may eat it. But the one who eats meat from the sacrifice of peace offerings, which belong to the Lord, in his uncleanness that person shall be cut off from his people, excluding him from the atonement made for them. When anyone touches any unclean thing, human uncleanness, or an unclean animal, or any unclean, detestable thing, and then eats the meat of the sacrifice of the Lord's peace offerings, that person shall be cut off from his people, excluding him from the atonement made for them. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, You shall not eat any fat from an ox, a sheep, or a goat, the fat of an animal which dies of natural causes, and the fat of one which is torn to pieces by a predator. May may be put to any other use, but under no circumstances are you to eat it. For whoever eats the fat of the animal from which an offering by fire is presented to the Lord, that person who eats shall be cut off from his people, excluding him from the atonement made for them. Moreover, you are not to eat any blood of any kind, whether of bird or animal, in any of your dwelling places. Whoever eats any blood, that person shall be cut off from his people. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, He who offers the sacrifice of his peace offerings to the Lord shall bring his offering to the Lord from the sacrifice of his peace offerings. With his own hands he is to bring offerings by fire to the Lord. He shall bring the fat with the breast, so that the breast may be presented as a wave offering before the Lord. The priest shall offer up the fat in smoke on the altar, but the breast shall be for Aaron and his sons. You shall give the right thigh to the priest as a contribution from the sacrifices of your peace offerings. The son of Aaron who offers the blood of the peace offerings and the fat shall have the right thigh as his portion. For I have taken the breast of the wave offering and the thigh of the heavy offering from the Israelites, from the sacrifices of their peace offerings, and I have given them to Aaron the priest and to his sons as their perpetual portion from the Israelites. This is the consecrated portion from the offerings by fire to the Lord, that was designated for Aaron and his sons on the day he presented them to serve as priests to the Lord. The Lord commanded these to be given to the priests by the Israelites on the day that he anointed them. It is their portion perpetually throughout their generations. This is the law of the burnt offering, the grain offering, the sin offering, the guilt offering, the consecration, ordination offering, and the sacrifice of peace offerings, which the Lord commanded Moses at Mount Sinai on the day he commanded the Israelites to present their offerings to the Lord in the wilderness of Sinai. Leviticus Chapter 8. The consecration of Aaron and his sons. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Take Aaron and his sons with him, and the garments which are symbols of their office, and the anointing oil, and the bull for the sin offering, and the 2 rams, and the basket of unleavened bread, and assemble the entire congregation at the doorway of the tent of meeting. Moses did as the Lord commanded him, and the congregation was assembled at the doorway of the tent of meeting. Moses said to the congregation, This is what the Lord has commanded us to do. Then Moses brought Aaron and his sons and washed them with water. He put the undertunic on Aaron, tied the sash around him, clothed him in the robe, and put the ephod, an upper vestment, on him. He tied the skillfully woven band of the ephod under him, with which he secured it to Aaron. Moses then put the breastpiece on Aaron, and he put in the breastpiece the Urim and the Thummim. He also put the turban on Aaron's head, and on it, in the front, Moses placed the golden plate, the holy crown, just as the Lord had commanded him. Then Moses took the anointing oil and anointed the tabernacle and all that was in it, and consecrated them. He sprinkled some of the oil on the altar 7 times, and anointed the altar and all its utensils, and the basin and its stand, to consecrate them. Then he poured some of the anointing oil on Aaron's head and anointed him, to consecrate him. Next Moses brought Aaron's sons forward, put undertunics on them, belted them with sars and bond cups on them, just as the Lord had commanded Moses. Then he brought the bull for the sin offering, and Aaron and his sons laid their hands on the head of the bull. Next, Moses killed it and took the blood and with his finger put some of it around on the horns of the altar and purified it from sin. Then he poured out the rest of the blood at the base of the altar and consecrated it to make atonement of it. He took all the fat that was on the entrails and the lobe of the liver and the 2 kidneys with their fat, and Moses offered them up in smoke on the altar. But the bull, the sin offering, and its hide, its meat, and its refuse he burned in the fire outside the camp, just as the Lord had commanded Moses. He brought the ram for the burnt offering, and Aaron and his sons laid their hands on the head of the ram. Moses killed it and sprinkled the blood around on the altar. When he had cut the ram into pieces, Moses offered up the head, the pieces, and the fat in smoke. After he had washed the entrails and the legs in water, Moses offered up the whole ram in smoke on the altar. It was a burnt offering for a sweet and soothing aroma, an offering by fire to the Lord, just as the Lord had commanded Moses. Then he brought the second ram, the ram of consecration, ordination, and Aaron and his sons laid their hands on the head of the ram. Moses killed it and took some of its blood and put it on the lobe of Aaron's right ear and on the thumb of his right hand and on the big toe of his right foot. He also brought Aaron's sons forward and put some of the blood on the lobes of their right ears and the thumbs of their right hands and the big toes of their right feet. And Moses sprinkled the rest of the blood around on the altar. He took the fat tail, all the fat that was on the entrails, the lobe of the liver, and the 2 kidneys, and their fat, and the right thigh, and from the basket of unleavened bread that was before the Lord, he took 1 unleavened cake, a cake of oiled bread, and 1 wafer, and put them on the fat and on the right thigh. And he put all these sticks in Aaron's hand and his sons' hands and presented them as a wave offering before the Lord. Then Moses took these things from their hands and offered them up in smoke on the altar with the burnt offering. They were a consecration, ordinance offering for a sweet and soothing aroma, an offering by fire to the Lord. Moses also took the breast and presented it as a wave offering before the Lord. It was Moses' portion of the ram of consecration ordinance, just as the Lord had commanded Moses. So Moses took some of the anointing oil and some of the blood which was on the altar and sprinkled it on Aaron and his garments, and also on his sons and their garments with him. So Moses consecrated Aaron and his garments and his sons garments with him. Then Moses said to Aaron and to his sons, "Boil the meat at the doorway of the tent of meeting, and eat it there together with the bread that is in the basket of the consecration ordinance offering, just as I commanded, saying, Aaron and his sons shall eat it. And what remains of the meat and of the bread you shall burn in the fire. You shall not go outside the doorway of the tent of meeting for 7 days until the days of your consecration ordinance are ended. For it will take 7 days to consecrate you, as has been done this day, so the Lord has commanded to do for your atonement. You shall remain day and night for 7 days at the doorway of the tent of meeting, doing what the Lord has required you to do, so that you will not die for So I, Moses, have been commanded. So Aaron and his sons did all the things which the Lord had commanded through Moses. Leviticus Chapter 9. Aaron offers sacrifices. And it happened on the 8th day that Moses called Aaron and his sons and the elders of Israel, and he said to Aaron, "Take a bull calf as a sin offering and a ram as a burnt offering, each without blemish, and offer both before the Lord. Then say to the Israelites, Take a male goat as a sin offering, and a calf and a lamb, both 1 year old, without blemish, as burnt offering, and a bull and a ram as peace offerings to sacrifice before the Lord, and the grain offering mixed with olive oil, for today the Lord will appear to you." So they took what Moses had commanded to the front of the tent of meeting, and all the congregation approached and stood before the Lord. Moses said, "This is the thing which the Lord has commanded you to do, so that the glory of the Lord may appear to you." Moses said to Aaron, "Approach the altar and present your sin offering and your burnt offering, and make atonement for yourself and for the people, and present the offering of the people and make atonement for them, just as the Lord has commanded." So Aaron approached the altar and killed the calf as the sin offering, which was designated for himself. The sons of Aaron presented the blood to him. He dipped his finger in the blood and put some of it on the horns of the altar, and poured out the rest of blood at the altar's base. But the fat, the kidneys, and the lobe of the liver from the sin offering he offered up in smoke on the altar, just as the Lord had commanded Moses. And Aaron burned the meat and the hide in the fire outside the camp. Then he killed the burnt offering, and Aaron's sons handed the blood to him, and he sprinkled it around on the altar. They brought the burnt offering to him, piece by piece with the head, and Aaron offered them up in smoke on the altar. He also washed the entrails and the legs and offered them up in smoke with the burnt offering on the altar. Then Aaron presented the people's offering. He took the goat for the sin offering of the people and killed it and offered it for sin. As he did the first, he also presented the burnt offering and offered it according to the ordinance. Next, Aaron presented the grain offering and took a handful of it and offered it up in smoke on the altar in addition to the burnt offering of the morning. He also killed the bull and the ram, the sacrifice of peace offerings, which was for the people, and Aaron's sons handed the blood to him, and he sprinkled it around on the altar. As for the portions of fat from the bull and from the ram, the fat tail and the fat covering the internal organs and the kidneys and the lobe of the liver, they put the portions of fat on the breast, and Aaron offered the fat up in smoke on the altar. But the breast and the right thigh Aaron presented as a wave offering before the Lord, just as Moses had commanded. Then Aaron lifted his hands toward the people and blessed them, and came down from the altar of burnt offering. After presenting the sin offering, the burnt offering, and the peace offerings, Moses and Aaron went into the tent of meeting, and when they came out, they blessed the people, and the glory and brilliance of the Lord, the Shekinah cloud, appeared to all the people as promised. Then fire came out from before the Lord and consumed the burnt offering and the portions of fat on the altar. And when all the people saw it, they shouted and fell face downward in awe and worship.